Well, hello and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a breaking news special. That's right. Normally, we're here talking about Xbox on the Xbox lunch break special. And of course, that is what today's show is as scheduled. But we have some major breaking news that is going to really change what people think of 343 Industries. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We have a story that just broke from let me just get it all to WCCF Tech. It was written by Francesco Di Maio, and it was posted, according to him, 5:43 a.m., which I am assuming is West Coast time, and it is a doozy of a story, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready. Halo series developer 343 Industries will only supervise development on future entries in the series. Now, according to Bathrobe Spartan, and I don't know who this person is, who has a proven, reliable record regarding the popular series in the past, recently revealed some new information on the franchise's future and its development. According to the report, based on information received from current and former 343 Industries employees, the studio has downsized in 2023 and 2024, going from around 500 employees to less than 280. Internal communications and marketing teams were also cut, with Microsoft now managing them. The report goes on to say, as Microsoft is no longer confident in 343 Industries' internal development, future entries in the series will be developed by other studios, with the series developer focusing only on concept and pre-production phases and supervising development. Holy moly, ladies and gentlemen. This is monster breaking news. Now, of course, we normally have introductions. You know who Gamsley is. Unfortunately, he missed us last week because he was sick. He's back. He looks great. He feels great. We also have the best bald head in the business. Fuzzy Belvedere is here. Listen, Gamsley, let's go to you immediately. I just sent the report over to you guys. I know you had, again, I got it as literally minutes before I sent it to you. This is big breaking news. And look, I'm going to throw this right out here, okay? And I'm going to get the virtual tomatoes, Gamsley, and it's fine. I have nearly 23 days in Halo Infinite. I absolutely love this game. The multiplayer is on a level that I only compared it to Halo 3, and I think it leapfrogs it by leaps and bounds. The single-player, story-driven Halo that I played a couple of years ago was incredible. It really was one of the best campaigns I've played in years, and it was magnificent. The problem, ladies and gentlemen, is that 343 Industries, as a Halo guy, as a Halo diehard guy, I have lost faith in their ability to put a good single-player story-driven game together. I don't know how that has happened, but I'm here to tell you that Microsoft, after acquiring Activision Blizzard King and of course Bethesda, they are in possession of studios that not only make some of the best first-person shooters in the genre, but I'm at a crossroads here, folks, because if 343 isn't going to do it, that's perfectly fine. They have not put out a new Halo since Halo Infinite. It's unacceptable. It's absolutely unacceptable. It's like, I just can't see waiting any further. So at this point, I don't know if Infinity Ward takes a stab of it. I don't know if ID gets a shot at it, because listen, they do great for single player stuff with Doom. I don't know who is going to take on the development of this, but I think that whoever is going to helm the mantle of this is going to be one of these massive internal first-person shooter developers that Microsoft now owns. Hey, Gamsley, let's get your hot take on this breaking news.
Okay. Well, I don't know how to take this. This was out of nowhere. If true, because the source was unknown, right. It's unknown and could be complete bullshit, which probably is. But if it isn't, if it isn't. I can't blame Microsoft. They didn't. 343 seems to have not yielded the results that a huge budget game like that needs to hit. Like, there's targets, and it simply, obviously, did not hit those targets. Even though, again, the campaign was okay for what it was, and the multiplayer, hit a lot of good notes. It just seemed like they made bad decisions throughout the whole development cycle that really pinched this game. Um, I I I if they are giving it to someone else, it's probably somebody from ABK. And we
Yeah.
also, this isn't a surprise that, everybody, like, all the teams are shrinking there because, everybody's having a shrink in their teams at the moment. People are getting cut left, right, center from multiple studios, multiple companies. So, I mean, when you buy a juggernaut like ABK and spend $70 billion in an economy like this, things are going to shift, and you were a lunatic for thinking it wasn't. Not you specifically.
Of course. No, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So things are shifting, and they got to make things work, and they got to have results. And yeah, I think personally, if I would give a team that IP, it would probably be a Call of Duty studio. But you know, they could build a game. They could build the game fast and quick. And if 343 can't, then they're going to be moved. Anyways, there's not much to say on this. I mean, it's a rumor, and yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, look, here's the thing. Again, it is a rumor from an insider. Have they gotten things wrong? Certainly more than they've gotten it right. In at least when it comes to Xbox news in the past months. But I mean, Fuzzy, I think it's safe to say for this particular opening salvo that there might be something here. You don't go from 500 plus employees to less than 280 in a matter of a year, unless something's happening. I think it's also safe to say, and even assume that they're just not doing what they're supposed to do when it comes to Halo. Now, Halo Infinite multiplayer, I talk about it all the time. You see me playing the gameplay. I have hours and hours of gameplay footage recorded because it is one of my favorite multiplayer games. It is phenomenal. But the truth of the matter is that Halo has always been known as a game, as a franchise that gives you both. You get a strong single player, story driven narrative title featuring Chief. And what we got initially with Infinite was, in fact, that strong story. It felt half baked. It felt like things were missing. There were audio logs that I found that talked about Locke and Team Osiris and Buck. We have no idea what happened to them. That apparently got cut. We'll never see the light of it. We'll never see the light of day. It's a shame because there was so much more to the story that we did not know about, and we're just never going to get that. So now they're moving on. And I said this a couple of weeks ago, and I don't remember what show it was, Fuzzy. Like, what do you actually do? Like, do you forget Infinite doesn't exist? Does this take place now after 5? Do we forget that 4 and 5 don't exist with the Prometheans? Do we continue after 3? There's a, I'm sorry to say, they're going to be ice skating uphill to figure this out because I can't even figure it out what they do next. And again, this is a report from WCCF Tech that just broke. I figured this is too big to ignore, even though we don't want it to be true. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I kind of hope it is, because as great as the multiplayer continues to be, the single player story driven content with Chief and all of the Halo world and universe and that we want, we have not gotten. And I don't know how long it has to be between Halo releases to figure out that something's just not right here. Let's talk about it.
Well, there's so much to digest here. And just basing it on the rumors and whatnot, I think the biggest thing that we can take away from this is some of the rumors we've heard in the past, whether it's people leaving, possible engine change where they had looked at like Unreal at some points, whether that was supposed to be for an expansion or a new title or something within the series, we don't know. But I think if you look back at all big IPs, with the exception probably of Call of Duty, although I would say early on it kind of had its own reboot to some extent, going from like old time war to modern war stuff to some extent. We've seen things like God of War go through a reboot. We even seen as of recent where there's not really a reboot per se, but a a prequel or going back to their roots as far as when it comes to Gears of War. I think it might be a perfect time to give it a try in between now and the next gen console coming out. I would say this is probably a better time than any to do so. If they didn't get this, the ball rolling early on into this generation, where they could at least churn out something before this generation ends, given that rumors once again it might end come 2026 range. This is probably the best time for them to do any type of shakeup, but things that and you have to understand, I'm not the Halo fan. It's not because I hate Halo in any way, shape, or form. It's just that I didn't come to the Xbox platform until much later. So I didn't have I guess the day one, feels from this platform or from this, series or franchise. But as someone that's played and beat Halo 5, I kind of enjoyed it. And a lot of people say that's probably their most hated one. Played a bit of Infinite, but it just wasn't what I was hoping for. And, coming from, more of the live service type of shooters, which I'm not looking to make Halo a live service, but being a Destiny fan, being a Division fan, it just wasn't what I had hoped for or what I would be looking for long term. But that all of that aside, they also have to appeal to a newer audience. And it's not to say that they need to change, but then again, people would say the same thing about God of War, where it was more of that third person far perspective as opposed to the more over the shoulder recent two parts of the franchise. So maybe we see id Tech or id Software take on something, or any of the you know Call of Duty teams, whether it's Infinity Ward or Treyarch or Raven or any of them, try their hand at it. I think with a lot of people wanting like different things from Halo, like there was also talk of doing like more of a horror focused, Halo, where you have the Flood as your ultimate enemy, and going through hordes of that and stuff like that. I think there's a lot of opportunity at this point that maybe that team is unable to deliver. And one of the things I looked at before or made mention in the past is that them being located in the state of Washington with that whole contractor thing might be their Achilles heel for the most part, because they constantly work within these parameters of that contract deal, where a lot of the people aren't retained, and then you're having to go back and retrain or train new people that are contracted if you didn't retain the previous one. So a lot of that time and knowledge is lost, um, each and every time you go through these cycles. So maybe they're looking to go with a team that's in California, even though cost of living is much higher out there. But I don't think they have the contractor rules that they have to abide by, where you can have more of a permanent team that retains the knowledge from title to title, and hopefully retain the team and talent in that swoop. But I would say now is a good time as any. Like I said, next gen is right around the corner. If any of this is true, maybe this is a product of getting prepared for the next gen to have this close to launch, if not, at launch type of thing. Um, we know how Halo Infinite wound up with the launch of this gen, where it fell behind, and that kind of shows whether it was a leadership issue before, or if it was just other circumstances that kind of piled on to make it, the delayed and drawn out process it was until Statham came there, type of deal. And he had to like, cut off a lot or trim a lot of things to kind of get it out the door in a timely manner. And I still think it was a matter of it was probably beyond what they had hoped as far as the timeline. Plus, content wise, it's like, well, we could always revisit that. And I think that all of those plans were probably nixed early on. So yeah, hopefully, from an advisory role, from a lore standpoint, having them, solely be like in the supervisory role, maybe that works best for them. Um, you still have some heads there that are familiar with the franchise, but as far as it comes to raw talent dealing with an engine, especially if you're changing to Unreal 5, that might be the thing that's needed as far as hand it off to someone that can handle that engine and have a team that's consistent. And not saying coalition should be involved or anything like that, but we've seen other studios within Xbox Studios perform well within either their own engine or an Unreal Engine 5 engine when it comes to churning out products that are quality within a reasonable amount of time. So hopefully either 343 can be restructured or do the supervisory role, and maybe the people that are there are burned out of the Halo series and want to try something else, and maybe they get that opportunity that way. But it's still early on, still hard to say. But yeah, this is a bit of a shock. It would almost be like hearing that Turn 10 is no longer in charge of anything Forza Motorsports related, and they're kind of handing it off. That I can understand from a Halo fan standpoint how much of a upheaval this is. So hopefully we see something positive from this, and I think we will, in the sense of a team that can churn out content in a reasonable turnaround time, and hopefully not necessarily listen to all the fans, but deliver something that the fans are looking for, even if they're not asking for it, kind of like the way Gears of War did, without doing a full reboot, but also going back to their roots. So we'll see.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, here's the thing. Shout out to Vicky's Secrets. She has reported that PlayStation Plus has raised their prices again. I can't find the story. There's just too much going on. The show has just started. I'm gonna be honest with you. So if anybody in the panel finds it, or anybody in the chat finds it, please DM me with it so we can discuss it. Look, Gamzee, I want to go right back to you because I want to continue some of the conversation in this report. Now, regarding future Halo games, according to the report, Bathrobe Spartan revealed that 2 big projects are currently in pre-production phases. One of them will feature multiplayer with a much higher number, which that suggests to me the long-rumored Battle Royale game. If they're saying that it's going to be more than it's currently, way more, much more, according to the report, I'm assuming it's going to be 100 people on the battlefield. Is that what Certain Affinity is working on? Because that was the rumor. And then we also heard that their project turned into something much bigger. What that is, we don't know. Certain Affinity has been working on a Halo project. Now, the report also goes on to say what these projects are is unknown, but it is being speculated that there is a Halo Championship remake, or a Halo CE, Combat Evolved remake, and the next main entry in the series. The latter, probably the project featuring the aforementioned multiplayer mode. I don't know. I mean, look, it closes out the report by saying, despite seemingly doing well on the market, Halo Infinite reportedly didn't meet Microsoft's targets. As such, only Forge will continue to be supported as the content that is already in development has been released. It's a shame that the game is somewhat considered a failure, at least by Microsoft, as it's a very solid entry into the series, as highlighted by Chris in his review. I mean,
look, it's we're living in a day where we think like okay, Microsoft's strategy shifted in a big way, and their success metric shifted in a big way, and we, like, everybody in X and all that, were like, yeah, look, it's about how many players. Listen, it's always been about return on your money.
Yeah.
And if you spend $500 million and only get 200 million back, all right, I'm not saying that's like solid numbers, but if you do that and you're a company that just spent that much money and now you're on the board and you're an actual thing in Microsoft and part of that company, and the stakeholders look at you and they're like, okay, so why should we keep you alive? And you don't have a freaking answer. This is the stuff that happens. Layoffs hit, you get less resources, maybe you are put on another project, maybe the shift focuses to more wealthy or more return projects like Call of Duty and shifts away from Halo. We don't know what's happening, but what I will say is their strategy now to be everywhere, might be upon us very quickly. So that Halo SE whatever remake, I mean, why would they do that if it's probably not going to be put somewhere else that we hate saying, right? How about a PlayStation thing? How about a Nintendo thing? How do we grow back Halo to the numbers that used to be and sell at? How do we do that? How do we grow our audience? I wouldn't be surprised if it's a remaster of the Master Chief Collection at all. I wouldn't be surprised. I think that's a possibility, and I think that's a good possibility. The Battle Royale thing, that's why I don't listen to insiders much, because I mean the Battle Royale thing has been everything, mind you, everything it could be true as well. It could have been a Battle Royale thing that's been working on, then they interior tested it and then canceled it and reformed it, and then etc. etc. Everything can be true. But yeah, Certain Infinity's probably making some sort of multiplayer spin-off of some sort. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a Battle Royale. It kind of makes sense because the Call of Duty model does the same thing. They give you a campaign. They give you old school structure of their multiplayer game, and now they have Warzone next to it. I wouldn't be surprised if Halo does the same thing. I wouldn't be surprised at all. If it works, they win. If it not, they'll reform another strategy if that fails. So I don't know. It's so rough, man. I don't know what to say about this stuff. Yeah. Microsoft just has to deliver, man. Xbox has to deliver now. They've spent way too much money. They have a lot of teams. They've done so much restructuring. They got rid of problem children, right? They got rid of the problems, or so we think, so they think. Now they need to start delivering. And if that means taking away Halo from 343 and giving some fresh blood a chance, you got to do it, and maybe give them a less budget, like a lower budget, and rely on the big things like Call of Duty and treat Halo with more goddamn respect and take your time with it.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Fuzzy, I'm going to write back to you because you brought up a great point. I originally said Infinity Ward, and I misspoke. What I meant is Treyarch. And I say Treyarch, and here's why. We are on the cusp of another Treyarch game being released this fall in the form of Black Ops 6. That means that they're done. Now there's going to be a team that continues the zombies and the multiplayer. I don't know if there's going to be any single player DLC. It's highly unlikely because they don't normally do that. But if the team that is expected to deliver one of the best Call of Duties in years, and of course they had 4+ years worth of development time, it's rumored. You take them off that project. Okay, listen. Maybe they came to Phil. Maybe they came to Sarah. Maybe they came to Matt and said, hey, listen, we want a shot at Halo. And listen, things get around the studios. And, obviously, if they're not happy with what 343 Industries has done, and obviously based on the report and what we've all seen with our own eyes, is in fact the case, I am here to say that I second that. 343 cannot be trusted to bring Halo back to its greatness. I'm sorry. They just can't. They just have not been able to deliver, and there's a problem. That problem needs to be fixed. Now, when you have id Software and you have all of these Call of Duty studios in your cupboard, so to speak, now it's time to move on to something else. I'm sorry. You just have to do it. What are your thoughts in regards to handing a project, an IP, as legendary as, of course, Halo over to Treyarch?
I think Treyarch is more than qualified to pick up from where 343 left off, or even from the fact of, from a fan standpoint, even from where Bungie left off. I think the big thing is, while there's internal competition between studios, I would have to believe there's some respect between the studios as well, where it's not that they would just want to push them out the way, but I think in a time where 343 has been kind of the whipping boy for a lot of the misses that they've made, at least from a launch standpoint, because when it comes to timing or crunch and delivering on software within a timely manner, they've had their struggles. I mean, there's other studios out there within and outside of other platform first parties and things like that struggle with timing. I mean, look at things like Factions, where that took probably a bit longer than Sony was willing to tolerate, and they kind of dragged on a bit more before they completely canceled it. But I think handing something like the Halo series off to Treyarch wouldn't be as big of a deal in comparison if Activision was, totally separate from Xbox. But having them within Xbox, I think it's best for Xbox or Microsoft in general to utilize its teams to the best of their abilities, or their IPs to the best of their abilities. And if one team is more prepared or more ready from a size standpoint, talent standpoint, and everything, then I think it's worth that risk. Like that's a safer bet. Like most companies are risk averse. I think that would be a safer bet to go with Treyarch, as opposed to possibly repeating the same things that happened at the beginning of this gen, where there was like a year delay. The head of the director for the game had to be changed almost last minute, and kind of drag it across the finish line kind of thing. I think after the heads over at Microsoft witnessing that, I think they're like, you know what, I don't think we can do any worse in this regard. Now, from a fan standpoint, it might be some pushback on that, but I think overall, taking that chance on somebody like Treyarch, which is a solid studio, even if they've been pushed through the salt mines of Activision with churning out Call of Duties left and right, I think even for them it's probably a well-deserved break, trying a different IP per se. After a while, doing the same thing over and over and over again, just where you have a tunnel focus, sometimes you get either bored, or you're not as aware of what changes might need to be made within that series to garner a new audience while still retaining your loyal fans. So it is a big risk, but I think for Microsoft it's a safer risk than possibly another studio within the fold. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's some that would love Coalition to have a crack at it, but then everybody would rather them still focus on Gears as opposed to jump something like Halo. And when it comes to id, they're already finishing up or wrapping up Doom. So I think either one of those two, or maybe a collaboration in all honesty, might be best. Like if you have the frame rate and the fluidity of like id Software using their engine, with Treyarch doing some of the the detail and character and renderings, the environments and things like that, I think you get the best of both worlds at that point. But if you have to pick one, I think Treyarch is probably the bigger or better prepared overall, and then it would be a very close second. But maybe it's time for 343 to try something different, or maybe they get to do that spin-off that was internally shot down, that was kind of like a Helldivers 2. Leave them to do something along those lines. Let them try something different within the Halo universe kind of thing, possibly.
That would actually that actually be pretty cool. You got something else there, Gamsley?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with Fuzzy. Look, Microsoft has so many IP in their bag, and they have a
Yep.
very consistent IP right now in Call of Duty to fill the void of Halo. I know Halo fans don't like that, but from a business standpoint and Game Pass model and all of that stuff, it would really help Microsoft budget wise and tactically, that if they would just not maybe have to spend that 300 million on Halo, when they could just let teams breathe and try some smaller games, just flex their muscles and their creativity again, and just pump out cool things, maybe smaller projects, maybe small spin-off projects, while the big guns like Call of Duty just get replenished every year. We need to start missing things again for it to give a pop. Like, it's the same thing, man. When Gears of War went away for a long time, guys.
Yep.
Gears of War went away for a long time, and now they're coming back and they're gonna smack you in the face, and it's gonna be the most successful Gears. I'm almost certain of it.
I
Even
agree.
with Game Pass, it's gonna land, and it's gonna land hard. And I really think they need that with Halo. I think they need to just relax. They have so many things coming out to bolster their lineup that they could let Halo just take a seat for a minute. And a lot of companies don't have that luxury. They do. So treat it with respect and make it your Mario like it's supposed to be.
Yes.
We don't get, I don't know, we don't get Mario Galaxy every year, You get that every freaking decade, maybe. So I let it breathe, all right? I know that's a bad example, but you've only had 2 Mario Galaxies. Probably never going to see that again. But you know what I mean, right? Just give it some time.
I mean, listen, if they ever decided to go back to the Mario Galaxy, well, to your point, and it's a great one, Gamsley, the entire gaming community, not just the Nintendo fans that remembered Galaxy 1 and 2, which were absolutely spectacular games.
Spectacular.
If they announced a 3, people would be running out to buy the next Switch because they announced it, because they missed it. That's a fantastic point of view.
Yeah. Well, it's the more solid point would be Gears of War and what that's going to do in this current timeline, right? That's a better one for me. Like, I think that Gears is a more perfect example, but we don't know how it's going to land, but I'm pretty sure it's going to land hard. And we want that for Halo, right? Boom. We want that punch in the face again, right? Imagine if it goes away for like 5 years, right? It goes away for 5 years. They're like, what the heck? You're getting like spin-offs of like Halo Wars or something, like cool Halo Tactics game from somebody, right? You have these smaller Halo spin-off games, and all of a sudden they give you that like bomb Halo drop where you have no idea if it's Chief in the desert, and then he takes off his hood and it's him. We already did that. Spoiler alert.
No, I mean, no, but to your point,
but isn't it bomb? That it sold like crazy, that one. So
it did. Halo 3 is one of my favorites of all time. But I will say this: I think a lot of us have been clamoring for a ODST type of new Halo. Now, again, Black Viking, shout out to him, because not only did he write an amazing article requesting that Chief go away and that the next Spartan should be our design. It's like he got a lot of virtual tomatoes for it, because everyone wants Chief, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I still want Chief, but it was an excellent read, and you can find that on the GamingCircle.com, which of course is Kay Asante's new website. I wrote a story on it. A lot of people writing stories on it. Black Viking was actually talking about this scenario where Chief is no longer the main protagonist, and he came up with a lot of great points. I'll say this: I don't know what's going to happen. Hell, I don't even know if this story has truth to it. I know it's being reported. Listen. The gaming media has gotten it wrong, certainly more in 2024 than they've ever done before. So again, I'm reading what the report says. You can take it with a grain of salt, but I think everyone here, no matter how big of a fan you are of Halo and specifically 343 Industries, we can at least admit together that they just have not done everything that they could possibly. Maybe they have lost it. I don't know if that in fact is the case. But it has been, remember, 2020 was the launch of the Series X and S. Halo had to be delayed a year, and it was worth the wait. But now so much was cut out of that. There was so much dysfunction. There was so much unbelievable craziness going on at the studio. How could you put out a good Halo game if there's that kind of shenanigans going on, so to speak? And listen, it's been reported here, there, and everywhere. I'm not making this up just because I want clicks or likes. This is a story. It's a report. I'm a diehard Halo guy. I got almost 23 days in Infinite. I like the game a lot, and I love Halo. And I think it's time to potentially pass the mantle and let someone who knows how to do single-player, story-driven FPS games like a Treyarch, let them take a stab out of it. And if it's not them, then give it to id. The guys over at
one
id
more thing?
Sure, absolutely.
Can I say one more thing? Okay, I'm going to give you guys 2 examples, okay, of something that's changed and people didn't like it, and then all of a sudden they like it. I'm going to point to 2, all right? And that and it could help. Zelda is the biggest franchise, one of the biggest franchises ever. They completely changed the entire kind of system to Zelda with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and it was a massive hit. A lot of people didn't like it, but it grew that population so much. It's the best-selling Zelda game ever, and it's loved. Even today, it's loved. Maybe some controversial stuff, but it's loved, okay? Another one that jumps to me is Fallout New Vegas, which was given to a team that wasn't Bethesda, right? And
Great
all of a
point.
sudden, we look back, we say, I don't like change. I don't like how they did this. I don't like how they did that. But everybody today has nothing but good things to say about it. It's grown very well. And Halo needs something like that. That's what it needs. It needs some sort of change in formula, some sort of change of idea, some sort, whether it's plot or gunplay or whatever. It needs some fresh blood on it. Just give it to someone to that's passionate about it. That's it.
No, I mean, you're not wrong. Look, we don't know what's going to happen. It's one of the, if there was one conundrum from the 14 out of 10 June showcase that Xbox had, it was the fact that there was no mention of Halo. I honestly had heard behind the scenes that Halo was going to show up there, and not by 343 Industries, but we were going to potentially hear something from what Certain Affinity has been working on. That obviously didn't transpire. I didn't make much of a report on it. I did get it from someone that I do trust, and I've said much. I was asked not to. Well, that's probably why. They didn't show up. So as great, again, 14 out of 10 was that showcase. No, there's no denying how good it was. The strange thing, though, with Gears coming back in a big way, and we're seeing updates to Perfect Dark and Fable and so many new things that we saw there. The only thing that we didn't get, folks, was anything Halo, which was pretty shocking, especially when they could have, shown what the next operation or the next season was going to be, like they did with Sea of Thieves and things of that nature, which they've always done, right? They've always updated us on what's happening on Fallout 76 or ESO or Sea of Thieves, and there was no mention of Halo. That's pretty telling, to be honest with you. As big as this was, and again, 14 out of 10 for me, it was just a little bit of a head scratcher that nothing Halo was mentioned. And well, I think we know why now. Again, we're going to continue to monitor this. Now, we do have now there is a story that's floating around, ladies and gentlemen, that I did see from that someone had put in the chat, and shout out to Jacob Novick, who DM'd me with it. Now, I don't have enough to go on this story, so I do want to continue talking about a game that's coming out this week in Flintlock the Siege of Dawn, which looks absolutely, every time I see it, I'm just even more excited for that game. And obviously, we spent the first 40 minutes talking about this because this is pretty big news for anyone that is A, an Xbox fan, and B, a Halo fan. So I just want to read again, just for just throwing it out there. The Gaming Bible is reporting PlayStation fans are livid as price of games quietly raised again. That's the price hike. It's not PlayStation Plus that was raised again. Apparently, the games have been raised to $85. Now, again, I don't see anyone else reporting this. I'm not going to talk about it because I don't have enough. I've never heard of the Gaming Bible. I don't even know who they are. Now, this information, apparently, according to the story, is coming the way of a gamer that posted this on Twitter who lives in Turkey. Now, obviously, I know right away we were going to think, well, it's a money transfer thing. According to the user, it is not. So I'll bring it up again, just for a quick context. Let me see. Where is it here? PlayStation, just according to, again, this is a user from Turkey, folks. So take it with a massive grain of salt. PlayStation just updated their prices in Turkey, and games now cost $85. According to the user, it says, for context, this exact game is about $25 or $30 cheaper on PC and Xbox. What he is talking about is Assassin's Creed Shadows. It is for the PC version and the Xbox version, $25 to $30 cheaper than the PS5 version, which now costs $85. Again, I haven't seen any other stories. Shout out to this amazing community that brought it up. And of course, shout out to Jacob Novik for dropped it in my DM so I could do a quick, just kind of a talk about it. Look, folks, here's the thing. If this is true, Sony has lost their minds if they think people are going to pay $85. They are giving the generation and future generations over to Xbox and PC if they do this. Again, take it with a massive grain of salt, but we did hear that they wanted to raise their prices on games so they can afford to make these AAA $300 million big bangers. So take it with a grain of salt. But look, again, we're going to move on to a story that I don't know about anybody else here. And I'm going to go first to Fuzzy. Fuzzy, look, we've talked about Game Pass. And of course, the hot topic was the price increases. Yes, of course, anything that goes up sucks. Everything that goes up sucks because we're consumers first. And we've already talked that to death. I think that everyone, if you've given your real hot take on multiple podcasts, and again, we've talked about it here. But I want to focus on the games that Xbox Game Pass is getting. Neon White is in there. Tachai is in there as well. This week, a Siege of Dawn, Flintlock Siege of Dawn is releasing. That game was supposed to come out, I think, about a year ago, and it got a delay. And you know what? I'm glad it did, because every time I've seen this game since then, it continues to look better and better. It's a single-player, story-driven game that uses both magic as well as, of course, conventional weapons. So it's telling an Elseworlds kind of a tale. I think the character is awesome. I want to know more about the creature that helps her zip around all over the place, which looks dope as well. And of course, I'm going to use a story that Jez Corden put out regarding this. But I want to get your hot take and your excitement for this. Again, that's releasing July 18th. I cannot wait. Oh, you're unmuted, brother.
Sorry about that. No, ever since I've seen this game, I've been looking forward to it. Like, the biggest thing has been like the companion, which I'm getting the impression it's like some sort of god or some sort of powerful being thing that allows you to do some of the magic and stuff like that. So traversal as far as being able to go from point A to point B, and you have, I guess, like these little triangles that you can kind of teleport through. The different elemental attacks that you have, as far as like with like melee weapons and things along those lines, or even the like, I guess the magic or the like electricity and stuff like that that you can send through the mobs of enemies and things along those lines looks pretty cool. But yeah, this was one of those like great looking. I don't know if it's UE5. I'm assuming it's UE5, but one of those games that, you know, we saw, you know, the trailers and like, oh, there's no way this game is going to look like this when it finally comes out. And each time it's looked better and better. Each trailer they've shown. The delay was probably well worth or well needed in the sense of for polishing purposes, because we've had like the beginning of this generation a lot of games with a few exceptions come out a little busted, and the main one that keeps on coming to mind was Star Wars Jedi Survivor, but there were other ones that were a bit busted at launch, but very few that came out polished in the early days. But Halo was one of them that was polished, but with Flintlock, yeah, I'm glad they took the time. The game looks amazing. I just like these third-person perspective melee and conventional weapon type of combat type of games, like the hack and slash ability. As long as you can hack and slash things, I'm happy. So looking forward to this one.
Yeah.
I'm playing it day one in Game Pass Ultimate, because, you know, they got to change the wording unless you're carried over from Game Pass console. But yeah, I'm glad that this game is coming out finally. Looking forward to it. And then I think this week is going to be pretty much overloaded, because I think we also get Path of the Goddess this week as well, if I'm not mistaken, or is that next week?
I think it's at the end of the month. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's
the reviews just came out for that, by the way, and they're it's been very well reviewed.
Yeah. No, but Flintlock, that definitely, and they probably had one of the best trailers. Like normally you see just updates on the same trailer in like some of the showcases. I would say, at least from a visual standpoint, not necessarily graphical standpoint, but like the way it was composed or put together, they had one of the better trailers at the Xbox showcase. And a lot of those trailers were fire, but there was something about that one, just how the cuts, the transitions and things that they did. That trailer was awesome. So looking forward to the game.
A shout out to, who was it you just said made mention of it? Hold on a second. What is it? You know what? Someone actually just posted it. The chat's going so fast. Path of the Goddess comes out on the 19th. So that's this week as well. I thought it was at the end of the week. So wow, my goodness, what a week for game. What a week for Game Pass.
Yeah,
that's true. That is tremendous. Yeah, Lamone Shine says it's this week. So thank you, Zach Riley. Yeah, appreciate the correction, because we like getting it right here. Now, real quick before I bring in Gamsley to get his hot take on Flintlock and specifically Game Pass this week, because it's going to be big. We have I'm going to do it. It's a small giveaway, but I want to thank Charles Wilson of Twitter, Charles 261-44212, who was gracious enough to donate the First Descendant like character pack. So I'm going to throw it into the chat. I'm going to let people know, because I'm not going to do like the regular runoff. So if you're fast with the click and paste, you're going to get it. I'm going to drop it in. I'm going to do a surprise drop. So keep your eyes on the chat, ladies and gentlemen, after I'm done talking with Gamsley. And again, shout out to Charles Wilson for the generous digital gift. And if you are anyone like me who has been, I mean, damn, I did something today that I haven't done in a year. Mrs. Boom had to go in super early, and I mean like ridiculous early. So I got back and I sat my ass on the couch and I played the First Descendant for 5 hours. And my God, it is,
oh God,
what a game. What a freaking game. I'm not a free to play guy. This game has its hooks in me. I'm not going to lie, folks. I cashed in 95,000 Microsoft points, took that $100, and I bought $100 worth of coins, and I bought 8 new characters.
Yes. And this is why Halo's dying.
I mean,
right?
I mean, I listen every time there's a new operation, they get $45 out of me because I buy all the outfits and stuff that they release. But I'm not a whale, folks. I'm on a pension, so I got to be careful of that. But that was a free $100 from Microsoft. Thank you, Microsoft points. Yes, I love you. Gamsey, let's talk about Flintlock. Again, this is a game.
Yes.
I don't know how excited you are for this. I'm excited for it because the game looks amazing, and on top of that, it's a single player story driven game. I love single player games. I'm a selfish gamer. I love sitting down with the headphones on in a dark room, just paying attention to the story. This one looks like it has a really, really good one. What are your thoughts, man?
I actually Flintlock has a demo on Steam.
Yes.
Yeah, I've played it. It's lovely. It's really quick. The execution on like traversal and all that stuff is very, very fun. It's not too difficult, and it's difficult enough to be very rewarding. The spells and the just how it feels, it's quite nice. It's way better than their last game that they made. I don't remember on the top of my head, but it wasn't very good. So this is definitely a step up for the studio. Yeah, this is a good get. I would say this is floating for me around the sevens. You know what I mean? So if you have Game Pass, pick this up. You're probably going to find something nice. Especially if you only play on Game Pass, you're going to find something enjoyable about this game. It's really awesome. Yeah, that's all I got to say about it. It's a lovely game. They're really the team that are scouting out games for this service at the moment are really nailing it. I don't know who's in charge, but it's pumping out some good content. Usually how I consume Game Pass is that I'll go for a big game. The last one was Starfield, and I'll play that until I beat it. And I'll only do this if the price exceeds, like the full price of a game exceeds the value of Game Pass. So if I'm it's what 24 23 Canadian dollars now with the price hike in September. So minimal, if I'm interested in the game, it will have to exceed that for me to get the sub, and then I unsub once I play it. That's how I usually consume Game Pass. And the last one was Starfield, so I played the heck out of Starfield, and it's just been hooked. I didn't cancel. It's just been nonstop me playing and finding value in games that they've been putting in the service for this year, and I'm in love with it. So Flintlock is no exception. I will play Flintlock as well and keep my subbed another month. Yeah, until they give me a reason to leave.
Well, I'm curious. You say you sub, you sub, you unsub. Did you ever think about maybe going over to something like CD keys and finding
getting the 2 years?
Yeah, and finding like a worldwide code, because they have them there, and the worldwide codes are the same price as like the codes for America.
Oh yeah,
I've never seen a Canadian code, but I think the worldwide ones would work just the same.
I've thought about it. I've thought about it, but I don't have faith in these companies to put down $200 right away on something. I just wait. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I lose money at the end of the day, but I usually don't do that.
Okay, I mean, listen,
especially not with these services. Like I do the same thing with Netflix. You know what I mean? I see what I like. I'm like, oh my god, that's cool. I sub. I watch the whole thing. Maybe I stay on the service. Obviously, Netflix has more than just one show I want to watch. I keep watching until the show's done, and then I cancel it, and I wait until something else intrigues me, and I do that with every single subscription.
Listen, brother, that you know what? If you're looking to save a buck or two, that's the way to do it. For me, I like the subscription services, specifically like Netflix. For me and Mrs. Boom, they have a lot of great stuff. But for us, again, this is just for us. We are K-drama fans, and we've watched 100 series, at least 100 of them, plus the films. So we're into it. That's why that'll never happen. I don't see for me, I don't normally cancel unless it's something I don't use. Like there was a horror one that I had. You would know what that is, Fuzzy. What the heck's the name of it?
What the just never Waits Deep or something?
No. I'm saying that no. There was a horror like movie sub thing, like Netflix. What is it's on
There's
the tip
a
of my tongue.
oh yeah, really?
I wound up canceling because every time I went to look at new films, all they did was have stuff from the 70s and 80s. I'm like,
Yeah.
this sucks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
but
I
you
see what,
see, but you see what I mean? Like that's it. Like Game Pass for sure, I think has the potential for me to always stay on that thing because again, it doesn't take much. As long as they just give me one game above
that's it.
$24
Shutter.
that I'm super ready for every month, I'll do it. And so far they've been nailing that cadence for me at least.
Yeah.
But as soon as they give me like, I don't know, the only thing they give me is like a Call of Duty, and I'm like, I don't even freaking play Call of Duty, and I don't care. I'm unsubbing. Like if all I get is Call of Duty that month, and there's nothing next month and whatever, I'm outie. I'm like, no.
I mean, listen, brother.
I'm out.
You got to spend your money how you see fit. Shout out to the chat, Michelle Alexandria, Thanaros, Stage on X. Everyone, it is Shutter, and Shutter. I was great. It was really good when it first released, and it kind of just fell off a cliff. And Mrs. Boom and I love horror. So listen, there it is, folks. The First Descendant Launch Edition bundle. It's in the chat. So please, just there it is. First with the fastest the click, you get it. Thanks
No,
to
don't
Charles
do it,
Wilson.
guys. Just give it to someone else. Burn that key.
No, play this
lovely.
game. The game is amazing. Holy crap, it's so good. It's unbelievable. I have 3 characters almost at 40. One's 40, 2 at 39, and I have all my other characters except for 2 that are still 1s because I'm playing with the other ones that are over 30. I got 36 hours in so far. It's so good. It is unbelievable. And I just beat the Dead Bride today. Finally, after like 20 tries. What a see you next Tuesday, man. Holy crap. But yeah, I finally beat the Dead Bride, and listen, it's a free to play game. It looks really good. If you are a gamer who likes Destiny, if you are a gamer that likes looter shooters, this gives it to you in spades. It's just phenomenal.
That's a really good point. And also, if you're a Destiny lover or Warframe lover, like
yes, that's another one. Yes, Warframe.
Yeah, if you love those games, just stay on those games because the First Descendant sucks.
Oh my goodness, the slander! Holy matrimony! You know what? I should have guessed you were going to say something slanderous. That's such a Gamsley thing to do. He reels you in and then just punches you in the balls. Good for you, Gamsley.
Just stub punch you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So you know what? Look, again, I think we've opened up the show pretty good. Like I said, the First Descendant is something I'm looking forward to. Well, not the First Descendant. I'm always looking forward to that. I can't stop thinking about it. You see what I just did there? The Siege of Dawn. I'm looking forward to that. That's this week. Of course, obviously, Path of the Goddess, which is a very unique game in itself. I enjoyed the demo. I played it. I don't know if I'm gonna put I'm gonna try it to see, if I'm gonna continue with it. But again, I don't have to buy the game, but it's being reviewed very well. I saw about the first 10 reviews, and it's getting it's averaging like an 8.5, which is pretty good. And again, it's an unusual, very weird Capcom game, but that's what they do great, right? They do that so well. And this looks like this could be another banger for them. But look, one other piece of news that I want to get into, and I really do think it's such a really big deal. I don't think that Playground Games gets enough credit. I'm going right to Fuzzy on this. Fuzzy, you saw the report.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, I'm an arcade racer. I enjoyed my time. I spent over, I think, 30 hours in Forza Motorsport. I enjoyed it. It's a game that I will go and I'll put a bunch of time in, and I'm okay with it. I've gotten everything I needed out of it. Forza Horizon has been a series that every time that they go to the next one, they continue to push the envelope and make it better than before. It's I don't know how they continue to push the envelope. It's pretty bonkers. Well, we have it confirmed. Clobriel, and if you know who Clobriel is, shame on you. You should follow that guy. He's an Xbox guy through and through, even though he's given Xbox the business, and he's allowed to do that. We have confirmation that Forza Horizon 5 Fuzzy has surpassed 40 million players. That is a freaking lot of people playing a game that, if I recall correctly, was said by certain publications, no names here, as a niche game, and why it shouldn't be listed as Game of the Year. Why shouldn't it be Game of the Year? Because remember that year it got snubbed, which I'm sorry, it probably should have won Game of the Year. That's a fact. Game is magnificent. 40 plus million players. This, the free updates have been consistent. The consistent tinkering that they're doing on top of still working on Fable. Man, shout out to those fine folks over at Playground Games. Let's get your hot takes. I know you're going to come at this from multiple angles there, Buzz.
I'm just glad the team is getting some recognition as far as for the achievement that they've brought from this series. Like, for the most part, this was kind of like a side project when it kind of first started. It was like, oh, motorsport, that was the main, focus as far as Turn 10's baby. They didn't have any real interest in doing an arcade racer per se, but there was that hole or gap out there in the industry. I mean, Need for Speed was about like one of the only ones. I mean, sure, you had Gotham Racing prior, but it was just something that needed to be filled, and Playground Games stepped up with the first one, expanded on that with the second one, and then really came into their showing it with the third one. The third one, I think, was probably one of the inklings of how big this series, or the potential of that series. The third was probably better received than the fourth, but numbers don't lie. There were still a lot of players for 4. I mean, there's still people playing 4 right now. While 5 has 40 million players, there's still a good bit of people still playing 4.
I didn't like 4 as much, to be honest with you. I thought it was okay, man. I love 3. 3 is like the GOAT. But this one, 5 is fantastic.
Yeah. And the only thing for me that's missing, other than possibly, being in Tokyo or something like that for 6, I just wish that they would do like a HD remaster of just the maps, have it as like fast travel points in Forza Horizon 5, and have it where you can continuously go to some of those regions. But they've done an excellent job, considering the only drawback being that licensing has somewhat of a shelf life, but they constantly churn out great content. Sure, there are going to be some that are like, oh, they're just recycling some of the earlier ones, and they tend to do that at points where there are some cars that were in the previous one that aren't at launch in the next one, and then they eventually release them back in. But a lot of that is not just them mixing around with older content or recycling it and stuff like that. Some of it is license based as well, where they have to wait and renegotiate the contracts every 3 to 5 years, depending on the auto manufacturer and stuff. But 40 million players is nothing to sneeze at. If that's niche, great. I guess it's a successful niche game at that point, 4 times over at least. But yeah, there's just a few things I wish, I hope that they update for this upcoming one. But outside of that, it's everything that you need in an arcade racer, except for maybe police chases or something like that. But considering how the market is, look at what Ubisoft did. Like, you're doing something well when Ubisoft decides to copy you. So, what is that, Motorfest or whatever they call it?
Motorfest wasn't terrible. It was comparable. Certainly not as good as Forza Horizon at all. I mean, I would, I'd say 7 to 10. I enjoyed it. I played quite a bit of it, but they did copy a lot of what was happening in Forza Horizon.
And I hope games like that, as well as Solar Crown, Test Drive Solar Crown, I hope those games inspire Playground to add similar features as far as some of the differences you see. Like, it would be nice to have each dealership be like an actual location you can go to, kind of thing. You can have the although I don't think it's as detailed as previous test drives where your house can be modified and stuff like that, or the character that you create or the avatar that you create. But there's a lot of avatar options or modifications that you can do within the game as well, which I think the sharp increase that they've had each and every title of that is drawing more people in. I mean, they're just
Fuzzy.
shy of making this like Grand Theft Auto without guns and just focusing on the car culture aspect of
Yeah.
that. And
Fuzzy.
that's the part I like. And the fact that they have the licensed cars in the game is the biggest thing. But yeah, it's, you know, I think the bigger thing is, and a lot of people gave them smoke about like when certain people left, when Mike Brown left, and I was one of the few people who was like, I think that's probably the best thing for the studio. And look where they're at now. We'll see what Mike Brown and his team does, but
they're working on something. He brought over a lot of talent. As a matter of fact, they just post something. They show like like a desk with some numbers on there. So they're making obviously a racing game.
Yes.
And they made a new studio.
Yeah. But my biggest issue with him when he was over at Playground was that whenever there were things that were broken when he was in charge, it seemed like it was repeated steps. So after he left, they've actually gotten their workflow fixed. So I don't want to point the fingers, but yeah, that team is pretty rock solid. The fact that they've grown the other team for Fable and it didn't take away from, you know, the Horizon team, which, by the way, this is more of the team that's just doing the support content. The other team is already working on 6, and they've probably been doing that for a couple of years now. So we know that aspect of the team has been solid ever since well before 3, but ever since 3, it's probably been more noticeable. But yeah, I'm just so happy for them. And looking forward to the next title, even though this one hasn't gotten too old or stale or anything like that. I still get the cars weekly. They have a thing, actually, I think it's going on right now for the update for this coming month or the remainder of this month for like the next 4 weeks of cars and things like that. So yeah, I'm just glad that they continuously add content, and that's the name of the game. If you're going to have a games as a service, you have to stick with the content, and that's what they've definitely been able to, you know, deliver on. So I'm happy for them.
Yeah, it's a good point. You Gamsley, you wanted to jump in? You wanted to ask Fuzzy something?
Yeah, I was just gonna point out, you know, you said you took my joke about the Grand Theft Auto thing. I was just gonna be like, how would you feel if you could get out, like, just get out of your car and just punch somebody in the face? Would that help?
Well, I will say they would have to make some different avatars because my God, man, if there's one, I have been the same blonde head white guy for freaking years. And I'm like, can I give him a mohawk to make him look that differentiates him from every other white guy? No,
I just want the beard. Other than the Santa beard.
I would just love if you could just let you lose a race or something, and you just like stop at the lineup, and then you get out of your car and just punch them in the face. That would be lovely.
What if you could scratch their car, like take a razor, and
just
scratch
key
their
it,
car and then run away?
Slice the tires.
Again, I love the idea, Gamsley. It's hilarious, but they're gonna have to make some better avatars. As a matter of fact, actually, it's when I reviewed it for Xbox. I gave it a 9.5 out of 10, and I got actually a lot of S from people regarding taking that 5 points off because I'm like, my God, can we do something with the avatars? Oh, but they don't really matter. Yeah, they kind of do. They're in every end of race animation. They're dancing. I'm wearing a spacesuit because I don't want to see the guy anymore. Like, I didn't want to see his face. So now he's in a NASA spacesuit because I don't want to see his face. I'm like, I've seen this guy's face for years. Can I do something different? No. Give me a creator or a creation engine part where I can try to make the guy look like me.
No. Boom. No, see, you got to make it a sim when you go offline. You know, your drivatar goes out, like grabs some groceries from the store. You know, build your house. Yeah, you got to do that.
Well, you know what? Being that you're making fun, let me just catch up on a couple of super chats. First of all, shout out to Chris R. And apologies, we just got so wrapped up in the conversation. He actually dropped a very generous $10 super chat. So Chris, thank you so much for the generosity. He says when 343 had massive layoffs in 2023, it was predominantly the campaign team, animators, etc. It's very unlikely They've made significant progress towards a new campaign as a result. No workers to do it. Thank you so much for that information, Chris. I know Big Mad Mo was out there saying that there's no one better that made a Halo than 343. I mean, listen, Bungie did some amazing things. Halo 3 was my favorite Halo, and Halo Infinite took over, and that was a 343 developed game, even when they were having dysfunction, which wasn't good. And apparently it still is. Now I know some people in there are saying that the number that I read according to the report is FUD. That they didn't lose people. And if you go to their LinkedIn, that's a certain number there. This is not the first time this weekend that I saw it was reported. They have 280 employees. They did have 500. They've shaved off 220 people. Where that's from, I don't know. Is it from the like Chris is saying? I honestly I don't know. This report just broke. We're gonna get more. I'm sure Jez Corden is gonna do a story on this. And when Jez gets more information, we of course will report on it and give you guys and gals an update as to what's going on. Rain G4, he says this after drop. Oh no, I'm sorry. Gamer by Choice drops a very generous $2 super chat and says Dual Shockers just posted something 2 hours ago. I guess he's referring to the price increase. Again, a developing story, folks. I don't want to run with it because it's one person. I gotta see where this goes. Again, I don't know if there's context that's missing. According to the gamer, the Twitter user who's a gamer who lives in Turkey, it's not. And he showed the one-to-one in regards to pricing. Again, I need some more information to kind of continue to have that conversation. So thank you so much for the update, Gamer by Choice. Super appreciate that. And of course, the generosity. Rain G4 drops a very slanderous $5 super chat and says, my homeboy has 10 kids. His wife told him he pumps out good content. I had to read it. Thank you so much. that is priceless, brother. Thank you so much, Rain. I love you, brother. That is awesome. Will Broke Boy Lewis has done it again, folks. As he's done for a couple of weeks now. He has gifted 5 Double Barrel Gaming memberships. Please, folks, if you did get one from Will, thank him on in the chat. I would greatly appreciate that because he doesn't have to do that. He's done it quite a bit over the course of the last couple of weeks, and we here at Double Barrel Gaming are incredibly grateful for it. We also have Jay Rambert drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, hey, Boom, I don't believe that 343 rumor because Pierre, which of course is the new studio head, hasn't been in charge of that studio long enough to enact change. And you know what? Again, it's just a report. Take it with an absolute grain of salt. We will come back to this when we have. Listen, if it turns out to be, look, one of the stories that we were going to talk about was something that was reported by both Tom Henderson and Tom Warren. We're not going to get to that story because it's incredibly detailed. I like both of those guys. They're good journalists, but I think they got it wrong again. And Tom Henderson's report was based on the paywalled information that Tom Warren had from The Verge. I saw the story. I saw the report. We're probably going to cover it tomorrow. Or if not tomorrow, then I'll wait till we get Kay Asante and Hargeet to do it for Primetime Gaming. We're going to have to go and talk about this because, again, it's one of those things where I think they got it wrong. And Jez Corden actually came out and kind of corrected them. He did it in a very, polite manner as in the way that he reported it, and responding to both Toms was, as a matter of fact, that he heard from Microsoft. What am I talking about? I'm sorry. I should have context with this. Tom Warren of The Verge was reporting that according to his source or sources, that Xbox was pulling out of the EU, of Europe. They were going to stop trying to sell to Europeans and just pack it in like they did Japan. When I saw that, because that was reported by Hazardor Gaming, and I have Hazardor's original tweet as well. I thought it to be very, very suspect. And according to Tom Warren, no, this is what's happening. Jez Corden corrected him and said, according to his sources, speaking to Xbox directly, that in fact wasn't true. Again, it's a big topic. It's going to probably be at least 30 minutes worth of conversation. I got to read the tweets. We're not going to cover it here because we had the breaking news. We will cover it if not tomorrow. We will definitely cover it on Wednesday's primetime gaming with Kay Asante and of course Hargeet Chani. But again, listen, Pierre is the studio head over at 343. I had big hopes for him. He's a Halo guy. He always has been. I think that he can bring big things, but this report suggests otherwise. I don't know what's going on. We should know more in the coming days. Bunty dropped, who's been a channel member for a whopping 37 months. Bunty, thank you so much for this. Super appreciated. It says, Wagwan, boom, and panel. It's Monday. Have a wonderful week. Keep it up. Keep up the good work. Boom. Can't wait to play all of my Game Pass games. I play 3 at a time. Yeah, you know what, dude? I used to do that. I found my experience to be ruined. I was playing way too many games, and like right now, it's Halo in my rotation. It's Halo Infinite, still playing the First Descendants, and I'm definitely going to give. I kind of not picked up anything else because I want to play Flintlock. That looks really good. That's going to be here by the end of the week. But Gamsley, I want to get your hot take on 40 million players for, of course, Forza Horizon 5. That is a whopping number. A 40 million of anything is tremendous. And I know there's going to be some detractors. Oh, but you know, boom, because you know that guy's out there. That's not sales. Listen,
yeah,
I get that. It's not sales, but that's 40 million humans picked up this game and played it. And it's supposed to be, according to, again, some publications that will remain nameless, a niche game that should not be up for Game of the Year, if I recall correctly. And I'm sorry to say, this is far from a niche game. It is an arcade racer. It is an arcade racer that scored unbelievably high. And to have 40 million people pick it up, it's in Game Pass, and it's a Game Pass for PC. That's a lot of people playing this game. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So, see, that's what numbers are supposed to look like for successful games. No, I'm only saying that because, you know, some people are giving me hell in chat for being like, yeah, 20 million Halo Infinite players. Oh my God, it's super amazing. It's big.
It is.
Retention.
That's a lot of people, man. It's 20 million people.
It's about retention. It's about retention, player retention for these service games. And that's what Forza 5 Horizon 5 is doing. They're retaining players, and you could see it on every single metric in the top charts in Xbox or Steam. If you go on Steam, it's at 14,000 people concurrently at this very moment. Halo's at 1,000. So don't at me, you crazy lunatics. Point is, yeah, that's a gigantic number, and it's a racer in a time that shooters are popular. So that's an even bigger stat for you, haters. They're calling me out for, you know, just pointing out the obvious that Halo Infinite flopped. Yeah, it's just it's awesome, and that's a massive amount of people with eyes. And it's growing. It's like it's slowly. That means the last reported number, correct me if I'm wrong, Fuzzy, was 35 or 25 million.
I think it was 35 was the last actually
35 million,
number.
right?
Yeah.
So it's going up, right? And that's how you know they're finding new players, because people's word of mouth is traveling. People are like, go play Halo 5. Sorry. Forza Horizon 5. Not Halo, right? I wish it was Halo, but that's not happening. So that's another metric that you should be looking at. It's growing and it's retaining. So anyways, to that point, yeah, it's just a great game. It nailed it. It delivered, and it's fun. And they didn't mess up with the content. So there you go.
Well, you know what? You know, you mentioned content, and I think really what needs to be spoken about here is the unbelievable support where this game gets. And again, I don't play every week. I play, you know, like when they had the new DLC. I was driving around in the DeLorean. I was driving around in Kit from Knight Rider. That's awesome. They got my money immediately. I've purchased every car pack that's ever been released, and there's been a lot of them. Every piece of DLC that was available, I have purchased. I enjoyed the Hot Wheels, but I enjoyed the Hot Wheels, unbelievably shocking, for Forza Horizon 3 more. I don't know why that is, Fuzzy, but look, they keep delivering. I don't know, Fuzzy and Gamsley, when Forza Horizon 6 will be announced, be shown, be released. If I were a betting kind of a guy, or I was looking at the books, just let them cook. Let them release, Fables next year, confirmed, right? That's coming out next year. If Forza Horizon 5 continues to bring in new players, which is apparently 40 million people strong, and they consistently keep updating it, instead of releasing or rushing to release Forza Horizon 6, which I hope to the gaming gods that it is Japan, because that's really where I want them to go. I mean, they've done Europe, they've done Australia, they've done Mexico, great places, incredible locations. Japan needs to happen. We've all been asking for it. And again, this year we're finally getting into Japan with Assassin's Creed. Like, I cannot wait for that game. I'm going to be on that. Like, I cannot begin to tell you. The last Assassin's Creed that I enjoyed as much as anyone I've ever played was Odyssey. The amount of time I spent in that game was just ridiculous. So I expect to spend the same exact amount of time in Assassin's Creed. It's not Red. It's
Shadows.
Shadows. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
So I'm very much looking forward to that. But look, again, folks, it's the summer. News. Well, we have some breaking news today, and again, the Sony stuff we're gonna continue to monitor to see if there is that actually is a story. So far in the U.S., they haven't raised their prices. Someone in the chat said in Europe, I think they said they were in the UK, their prices were still $69.99. So no price change there. Again, we're going to have to monitor it and see what's going on. It would be really shocking if they tried to raise the prices again. And that would be a big problem. Because then if they do it, you can expect EA and 2K, and then we're starting to get into that rumor of $100 Grand Theft Auto. I hope that listen, our wallets are only so deep in 2024. It's just not looking good for the average person. But that's what Game Pass exists, and that allows people to go buy other games that are not in the service. So keep supporting Game Pass. But let me make sure I'm caught up on super chats, and then we will get everyone out of here. Big thank you. We had over 600 people watching live across Twitter and YouTube, so a big thank you. Again, Mrs. Boom and I are 172 subs away from 15K. It would be awesome if you are finding the channel for the first time and you consider subscribing. It'd be a big deal for us. Again, 15K for a small mom and pop and grop shop kind of organization that we are. It's a big deal. It's a big deal for us because this started out with one sub, and my first sub was Mrs. Boom, not surprisingly enough. And here we are, nearly 6 years later. We've done a lot in such a little time. We've gotten to over 6 million views in under 6 years, which is insane. We've uploaded over 1,500 videos in that same time frame, and we just had our biggest June in the history of the channel. As a matter of fact, it is probably, based on the report from YouTube, our biggest month ever. We had 221,000 views, which is just, it's insane for as small as the channel is. So if you want to help us get there, could we ever, reach those, I don't know, Colt Eastwood numbers? I'd like to believe we could, but we have to start by getting to 15K. And if you can help us, we'd be incredibly grateful for that. But let's get everyone out of here. And yes, Gamsley, you want to say something, sir?
Yeah, there's actually, you know what? Never mind. Let's just get out of here.
Well, Gamsley, we have you on the phone, brother.
Yes, sir.
Let's sell your brand. Okay, obviously you work with Deadly Headley and of course Asa each and every week. You put out great content. where could people subscribe to that content? More importantly, follow you on social media.
Yeah, if you like if you like the overconfident trash talk and mudslinging at each other, come hang out on the Gaming Arcadia YouTube channel where Asa just pumps out a bunch of content. He's really good at reviewing games, like he's really good at that. He has a very nice soft accent, so he's not as annoying as the Canadian one you're hearing right now. But come subscribe to that channel. It's amazing. We do the Xbox Series podcast every Thursday at 3 p.m. where we talk most things Xbox. We don't really highlight the news. We just quickly talk about it. We usually highlight what we're playing and all of that stuff, and just, like I say, throw mud. And you could find me right here every Monday for lunch. And yeah, on social media for anything else, just follow me at GamsleyTKD on X for announcements for other podcasts that I jump on. I usually hop on here and there. Not this week, but maybe next month. Yeah, so tune in for that.
Well, thank you very much. And shout out to Will Broke Boy Lewis. Says, sorry, Boom, can't gift that many. Brother, listen, you've done more than enough. Honestly, bro, it's leaps and bounds. We truly appreciate it, brother. Shout out to Lethal Papa also. Telling everyone to please hit the like button. Yes, indeed. Please hit the like button before you get out of here. And shout out to the best modder in the business, folks. Walks silently and carries a really big band stick. That's why you can come here and you can hang out. And the trolls seem to stay away because, well, he gives people enough rope, as the saying goes, and then he bans them. And if you get banned, that means you're being kind of a D, because he doesn't do it just for anybody. So thank you, Lethal Papa. Shout out to you as well. And Fuzzy Belvedere, let's talk about the new horror podcast that I'm going to be guesting on this Friday evening with you and the missus. Let's talk about how the episode 1 went last week, where they can subscribe, not only to that, but also your YouTube channel, and more importantly, follow you, kind sir, on social media.
As always, Boom, thank you for having me on here. Always a great time to be on here with you, as well as Gamsley, talking about games. But I also love talking about horror films as well. Me and my wife have a thing about like zombie films and slashers and things like that. But if you're a gamer that's into horror games, or a horror fan that's into games, and you can't get enough talk about, like, whether it's the Friday night or like Fright Night series, or Friday the 13th, or Nightmare on Elm Street, or any of the Resident Evils games or movies, please check out my wife's channel. Fright Night with Ferocious Fee is the podcast. Just do a search for Ferocious Fee on YouTube. Every Friday night or Friday evening, 6 p.m., we spend about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, talking about a particular topic. Last week was about possession, demonic possession, like in things like Amityville, as well as with The Exorcist. This week, we're going to be talking about zombies. Some of the old films versus the new films. I like to refer to it as the rise of the fast zombie, which is probably my favorite part and scariest part about zombie films in comparison.
Yeah,
to
if they
new
run
versus
at
old.
you, it's a problem rather than just shambling along.
Fuzzy, did you say Furious Feet?
No, Ferocious Fee.
Oh, okay. Anyways,
No, but if you're into horror at all, just check by or stop by Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Ferocious Fee's YouTube channel for Fright Night with Ferocious Fee. It'll be BoomStick XL. Mr. BoomStick XL will be our guest, as well as we'll have also, I believe, Dreadpool for this weekend.
Oh, nice.
And Kaneda.
Yeah, he's definitely a big horror dude.
Yeah, so it's going to be a good one. Just keep an eye on the socials. You can follow me. I'll make postings for it as well. Just follow me on Twitter, or the app formerly known as Twitter or X, at Fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also do a search for Ferocious Fee 78. 78 being for the Dawn of the Dead, the original release date, not my wife's birth year or anything like that. But yeah, just be on the lookout for it. greatly appreciate if you guys stop by. Thanks again, Mr. Boom, as well for stopping by or being able to stop by. Greatly
Sure.
appreciate it. And thanks again, everybody in the chat.
Well, real quick before we get everyone out of here, Lady Foxfire drops a very generous $5 super chat, and she says, "Hi, Boom. Just wanted to say thank you for everything that you do for the community, and I appreciate you for helping me get my Series X on Christmas. I love it. That's the least Mrs. Boom and I can do." Lady Foxfire has been a big supporter, and she won not only the prize pack from last week's Breakfast of Boom. She was one of the grand prize winner of last year's Christmas Mr. and Mrs. BoomStick. She won a $250 gift card, and she bought her Series X, which is freaking awesome. So shout out to her. And of course, obviously, we try to give away as much as we can, and we're doing a big one this year. Just to kind of throw it out there, if you didn't know, besides everything that we've announced, we are giving away the most money we've ever given away ever in the channel's history. $2,000 in 2 hours, $1,000 per hour for Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. BoomStick. That's this year. That's coming up towards the end. Obviously, as we get closer to the holidays, we will make the official announcement. But yeah, that's what we're doing. Last year was $1,500. This year we're doing $2,000. I don't know if we're ever going to get any higher than that, because that is a lot of money. But it's our way of kind of just paying it forward. You folks are very generous with us, and we want to continue to be very generous with you. So thank you so much for the support, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, a big thank you to all of the super chats and continued channel memberships that we have here. We are unbelievably grateful for the assistance. And again, we just go out of our way to kind of just pay it back, as I think everyone should. But of course, I'm going to close out today's show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, "Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day." So take care, everyone. And we'll see you on next week's new episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special.